and welcome to your first writing lesson of the week. Thank you so much for everyone who sent in all their work from last week. It's been great to see what you've been getting up to, and we can't wait to see what writing you produce from this week's lessons.
Our learning objective today is to name the key features of a river, so our writing lesson is going to have a bit of a geography spin on it today. Last week, you were sent a video from Jack, who is a land surveyor. He wants us to find out if it is a good idea to build houses by the river in Kidderminster. In the Igniter video, your teachers went to visit a bit of river in Kidderminster. Did any of you manage to go and visit it? If you haven't had a chance yet, don't worry, you can still go on your daily walk one day this week.
Hello you four, my name is Jack and I'm doing a land survey. I've heard you're experts on land use and I need your help. The council say we need to build more houses in Kidderminster. So, do you think it'd be a good idea to build these houses next to a river? Please could you find out for me and let me know as soon as possible. Thank you.
In the Igniter videos, we asked you to find out the key features of a river. Learning these parts will help us report back to Jack with what we have found out. So, we're going to watch a video to find out more about the different parts of a river. Listen very carefully to what you find out.
I'm in Sweden, following the route of a river that flows across the country and out to the sea. I'm starting from the beginning of the river, which we call the source, here in the mountains. Rivers often start in upland areas like this, from lakes, marshes and glaciers, or even springs that bubble out of the ground. A river has a channel with banks on both sides and a bed. Around the main channel of the river is the floodplain, where the river expands when it floods. Rivers always flow downhill because of gravity, going where there is the least resistance, so they meander or move around obstacles like large rocks and hills. Over time, they erode or wear away soil and rock to create canyons and gorges. My kayak is being pushed along by the water as it gradually flows downhill. The water looks quite flat here, but in other places it can be much steeper, like waterfalls! Rivers like the Amazon and Nile are nearly 7,000 kilometres long and can be several kilometres wide in some places. Some rivers flow into lakes or other larger rivers. Finally, I've reached the mouth of the river, which in this case flows out to the sea. I think I'm gonna need a bigger boat!
So, we just watched the video where we were introduced to lots of key vocabulary about the different features of a river. What I want you to do first today is get a piece of paper and a pencil and draw your own river outline, just like the one you can see here on the screen. Make sure you include the mountains at the top and all of the different sections of the river that you can see here on this diagram. Pause the video now and have a go at drawing your own river diagram. In the video, we found out that the source is where the river starts and the mouth is where the river ends. Can you now add labels for the source and the mouth onto your drawing? Pause the video now and have a go at adding the mouth and the source onto your river. So, the source is the starting point of a river. The mouth is the place where a river flows into another body of water, which is usually the sea. So, the source would go right up here. The source is often usually found up in the mountains, high up on the land, so the river can start by trickling down the mountains until it starts to get wider and wider as the land flattens out. We found out that the mouth is where the river meets the sea, the end of the river. So the river mouth would go down here. Have you added those labels correctly onto your diagram? In the video, we heard another key feature of a river, which is the floodplain. When there has been lots of rainfall, a river can burst its bank. This means it can't hold all of its water, so it floods the surrounding area. The area it floods is called the floodplain. Here are some pictures of Bewdley from recent years where the River Severn has burst its banks and flooded the surrounding areas. Some of you may have seen that last year where it flooded. In the Igniter video, Miss Bridgewater was stood on the floodplain by the River Stour in Kidderminster. She said the ground felt quite soggy. This is because there's been lots of rain recently, so the River Stour flooded the surrounding area, called the floodplain. Do you think you could add the floodplain to your diagram of a river that you have drawn? Remember, it's where the river starts to get wider, and it's the area of land either side of the river where the river can burst its banks and spread into. Pause the video now and have a go at adding the floodplain to your diagram. Here's the floodplain. It's the area either side of the river that can get flooded when there is so much rain that the river bursts its banks. Okay, let's find out about another key feature of a river. As the river travels down from its source, down the mountains, it starts to flatten out, bending and winding over the land as it goes. Watch this video to find out the name of this key feature.
After the waterfall, the Severn's gradient soon flattens out, and it starts winding its way through agricultural land. In flat areas, rivers wander about, forming loops of all shapes and sizes on the valley floor. These are known as meanders.
As you've just found out from the video, the bend in a river is called a meander. You can see this river meandering here. Add the word meander to your river picture now. I have put meander here on my diagram as this is where my river is winding around, and that bend there is called the meander. So, another feature of a river is a delta, which is a wide, muddy or sandy area which can look like an island in the mouth of a river. Here is a picture of a delta here. Can you now add the delta to your river outline picture? If you haven't drawn a delta, don't worry, you can just add one to your picture now and label it as well. On the first video we watched, it said that sometimes smaller rivers can join into larger rivers. This is called a tributary. On this picture here, you can see lots of little tributaries joining the big main river here. Can you add the word tributary to your river outline? If you haven't drawn a tributary, don't worry, you can just add one or a couple to your river picture now. Remember to label it as well. Okay, so our river picture should now be complete. At the top is the source where the river starts. Then the river starts to wind down, and as it bends, they are called the meanders. On either side of the river, as it starts to widen, is the floodplain. Where the river meets the sea, it's the mouth. In the mouth, you often find little islands, which are called deltas. Sometimes smaller rivers or streams join larger rivers. These are called tributaries. Check your diagram to check that you've got all of the labels in the correct place. Well done on drawing your fantastic river diagrams, Year 4. I can't wait to see some of those. As your final Now Try This challenge, why don't you create some cards to help you remember the key vocabulary for the rivers? You could cut up some paper, draw a picture of the feature, write the word and the definition. Here are the key words of all the river features we have learnt today.
Thank you for tuning in to today's writing lesson video with our little geography spin on it. Any work that you do, please send in to the Year 4 email address. Your teachers can't wait to see what you have done, and they'll be rewarding dojo points for super duper work. Keep hold of your river picture if you can, as it will be really helpful for the rest of the lessons that are going to follow this week. Your next writing lesson will be with you tomorrow morning. See you all soon!